might be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, thank y'all so much for going out there and showing so much support for these videos. I mean, we are on our way to 20,000 subscribers, and it's 100% due to y'all going down there, leaving likes on the videos, leaving comments on the videos, and that is driving us in the YouTube algorithm. That is getting us to new listeners, and that is getting us more subscribers. So thank y'all so much for continuing to go out there and do that. Honestly, it's week 6 now. I figured that y'all would have been tired about fantasy football. Y'all have been tired of seeing me make 4 videos a day, but no, we have not slowed down in the slightest, and I owe y'all a massive, massive thank you, and we are not slowing down the videos anytime soon, so we have a long season ahead of us. But let's get into this video and let's talk about 5 wide receivers that I think we should generally try to avoid playing in week 6 where we can help it. But okay, also first, I'm very sorry, but we are going to be live streaming tonight at 8:30 p.m. Central, as well as tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Central and Sunday morning. So guys, please, if I was not able to answer anything about your start sit questions in one of these videos, please come down and just hang out with us in the live chat. I'll be answering hundreds and hundreds of questions. And yeah, I hope to see y'all there. But let's first talk about a wide receiver that I love, Terry McLaurin. So y'all know that I actually advised y'all to go out there and buy Terry McLaurin this week after his horrendous performance in week 5 against the Los Angeles Rams. And while I do think the majority of the reason that Terry McLaurin had that poor showing against the Los Angeles Rams was actually due to Jalen Ramsey and not necessarily the quarterback play in Washington, I still think that he is going to have a very tough cornerback matchup going up against a defensive back in Bradbury that just completely erased Amari Cooper the previous week. So it's just not a situation where I think we can go out there and rely on Terry McLaurin to give us that high-end wide receiver 2 production in week 6 when he has another very tough cornerback matchup ahead of him, and at the same time we don't have this quarterback situation all figured out in Washington. So I think this is the one week that we are going to be going out there just like last week, trying to avoid Terry McLaurin where we can. We do not want to be jamming him into our starting lineups. But I will say, guys, if Terry McLaurin is not a buy low right now, he is definitely going to be a buy low next week. This is a wide receiver that just based on the talent, based on the amount of targets that he's seen in this Washington offense in his rookie season and now his sophomore year, he is a guy that we are excited about going forward and someone that we are going to end up trying to go out there and buy low, because I can guarantee you, if we have another poor performance this week from Terry McLaurin against another very good defensive back, we are going to see everybody just a fire sale on Terry McLaurin. And just like how we went out there and bought Joe Mixon before his Jacksonville Jaguars blow-up game, we will be doing the same thing with Terry McLaurin. We will be using the panic to our advantage, and we'll be going out there and trying to buy low, but still in week 6, not necessarily a situation that I am very intrigued in. Okay, now our next player that we are going to talk about is actually another player that has a very tough matchup, and he got a ton of opportunity last week, but this is Travis Fulgham. So I will say here a couple things with Travis Fulgham. We know, yes, I mean, I believe saw like 10 targets in week 5 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which have a very, very good defensive group. But at the same time, we know when we see these random, just say, I don't want to say waiver wire wide receivers, because there are some guys on the waiver wire that can break out, like a Chase Claypool, Justin Jefferson, that we are intrigued with. But guys that were not even on the NFL radar, like practice squad NFL players, come out here and have a big week out of nowhere in the NFL. Usually we see defensive schemes go out there, and now that they have a little bit of tape on them, they are able to go out and say, okay, this is how this player wins. This is the quick thing that we are going to be able to do to shut him down, because he has nothing special at this next level. And I'm afraid that's what we are going to see with Travis Fulgham. And now when he's going up against a very, very good Baltimore Ravens defense, I think that we are going to have a hard time for this Philadelphia Eagles passing offense to really move the ball effectively downfield. So I think this is a situation where we just kind of avoid all Eagles players where we can, because this game could be brutal with a banged up offensive line, with a banged up receiving core, Dallas Goedert looking like he's going to miss again. I mean, it's going to be tough for this Philadelphia Eagles team. Okay, now our next wide receiver, someone that I love for the long term, but in this week, I just don't think we really want to go out there and jam him in, is going to be Jerry Jeudy. Now, there's a couple reasons that I'm trying to stay away from Jerry Jeudy in week 6. One is we know that Bill Belichick, what he does on defense every single time is he just takes away the opponent's best offensive weapon and they try to make him win elsewhere. Because we look at this, just go back to whenever they played the Las Vegas Raiders and he completely erased Darren Waller from the game. This is what Bill Belichick has done throughout his entire NFL career. And now with no KJ Hamler, with Noah Fant looking like he could possibly play in this game, but mainly going to be limited, I think that we have a clear answer that the Denver Broncos have their top option being Jerry Jeudy. And in general, that's not going to scare me in most matchups, except this one matchup against the New England Patriots. And another thing that I don't like for Jerry Jeudy is that we actually see KJ Hamler looking like he is going to miss this game. And I know generally we talk about wide receivers leaving an offense being a good thing for the other wide receivers in the offense because they are going to be able to see more targets. In the case of a Jerry Jeudy, it's not going to be the case. Because with KJ Hamler missing from this Denver Broncos offense, I think we are going to see a very similar thing happen to what we saw with Henry Ruggs missing from the Las Vegas Raiders offense, in that they have no vertical playmakers and the defense is going to have a very easy job just kind of conforming to play their scheme. Whereas if you have a player like KJ Hamler on this Denver Broncos offense, I actually think that it's going to drastically help Noah Fant and Jerry Jeudy. Even if they get just say 1 to 2 less targets a game, it's not necessarily going to be a big deal because having that vertical element is going to increase the offensive just production from the entire team drastically, because the defense is not going to be able to come down, stack boxes in drives. They are going to have to kind of play conservatively, give some cushion, and allow these players to work underneath. And if KJ Hamler misses this week for the Denver Broncos are going to have a very tough time moving the ball. Now, our next wide receiver is going to be someone that I actually told y'all to sell after his blow-up game against the Dallas Cowboys 2 weeks ago, but this was Odell Beckham Jr. Now, y'all know I love Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, we have his jersey behind us. I love the wide receiver. But the reason I went out there and told y'all to sell Odell after that Dallas Cowboys performance is we understood with Odell going out there, he was playing one of the easiest defenses in the entire NFL. We saw that the Cleveland Browns had an insane amount of production, like over 50 points. And at the same time, a lot of the production that Odell Beckham Jr. saw came in untraditional ways, where he got a 50-yard bomb from Jarvis Landry. He had a 50-yard rushing touchdown, and we knew those were things that we could not project going forward. And on top of that, Odell Beckham Jr. had a very tough matchup last week against the Indianapolis Colts, and we are seeing him have the same thing this week against an elite Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So I really wish you would have gone out there and sold Odell at that peak value that we saw just about 10 days ago. But still, I think that Odell is going to be a guy we like as a wide receiver too going forward, just not in this matchup going up against Pittsburgh. Y'all know I've been on the board just the entire season saying that Pittsburgh has a top 3 defense in the entire NFL, something that you want to be avoiding, and I don't think there's going to be any exception here with Odell Beckham Jr. Now, let's talk about T. Higgins, a wide receiver that is completely emerging in the Cincinnati Bengals offense, and a ton of people are excited about him, and for great reason. I mean, there is nothing to really be worried about for T. Higgins in the long term in 2020. He looks like he's completely surpassed AJ Green for this Alpha X wide receiver role. Tyler Boyd is going to be more of that slot guy, and we see that T. Higgins is just going to continue to develop that chemistry with Joe Burrow among the entire 2020 NFL season. And on top of all this, Joe Burrow is one of those quarterbacks that is going to continue to progress. It is Joe Burrow's rookie year, as well it is T. Higgins. T. Higgins is only 21 years old, so I think we are not seeing anything near the potential for this quarterback and wide receiver pair so far in Cincinnati. But regardless, I think that if we are looking specifically in week 6, while T. Higgins may step up into a major role without AJ Green in the offense, based on the questions that I've been receiving in the live streams, I think people are a little bit too optimistic in thinking that T. Higgins is going to be able to come in and take away all that production right away. Because if we look at T. Higgins, he's going up against another one of these defenses that is top 3 in the NFL in the Indianapolis Colts. So I love T. Higgins. I love him for the rest of the 2020 NFL season. But similar to Odell Beckham Jr., I don't like the matchup in week 6. So I think where we can, we are going to try to make a move and not put him in our flex spot. We would much rather go with a different wide receiver. But thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed the video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, please make sure you go down there, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I really hope that I'll be able to see you in the live stream tonight on Friday or the live stream on Saturday night. But regardless, thank you guys and have a great day.